Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Kingstonian fans. It wouldn't be an end to a Kingstonian year without something for us to be upset about or excited about, depending on your view on it. And as I'm sure we're all aware by now, in the past few days, the club have announced a ground share at Tooting for the certainly next season and beyond. And that, I guess, has elicited some strong reactions online and some questions. So we're here with Mark Anderson and Hayden Bird today just to chat through some of that. With them, Hayden, Mark, how are you both doing? Good Christmases?
Yes, very good, thank you. Happy Christmas to everybody involved with Kingstonian. And as this is New Year's Eve, let's hope for a good 2022.
Yeah, lovely Christmas, thanks, Jay. And looking forward to the year ahead, as Mark says.
Great. I think the first question I'd want to ask might seem a strange one, but I'd want to ask you both whether you were, I realise you don't both spend all your time on the K's forum and reading Kingstonian Twitter replies, but I'm sure you picked up that it hasn't been an overwhelmingly positive reaction to the Tooting news. And I guess I'd want to ask to both of you whether you were surprised by that. Mark, did that surprise you, the kind of force of that reaction?
Not really. I think people are always worried about change. And again, it reinforces the nomadic nature of our club over the past 5 years now. So I was waiting for some sort of reaction as a result of it, but to put it into some sort of context on the reasoning behind it, we were told a couple of months ago by senior officials at Corinthian Casuals that it was very likely we would not be offered new terms for another season or two, which kind of forced our hand to start looking at alternatives. The reason we've gone with Tooting and Mitcham is they're very positive and friendly discussions with us. We think we can work very well together. They've been very professional and very courteous throughout. There are concerns if we went further west, Met Police or somewhere else, then every year there seems to be a revision by the league, and we could have been, having annual trips as a result of those revisions and being in the wrong ground, as it were. We could start seeing Merthyr Tydfil, Tiverton, Taunton on a regular basis. And whilst we would have travelled there in style, of course, thanks to Anderson Travel, it wouldn't really be, I think, what our supporters wanted. Finally, I think we need to also look at the fact that, to get Corinthian Casuals Stadium up to the ground grading needed for Isthmian League, we Kingstonians spent the money on those extra seats and on the extra reinforcement we did it with a good heart, because at that time it looked like the two clubs were going to develop the stadium together, and that, dare I say, it will be something of a legacy for them when we leave. But the reality is that if we, and we have every ambition, and Hayden will come to this, every desire to go up to the next level of football, then we would have need to have spent even more money on ground improvements, possibly for 1 or 2 years with the new stadium and what we're trying to do there. So would that have been money wasted? Well, it would have been money wasted as far as Kingstonian are concerned. So Tooting and Mitcham already has the ground grading needed for Conference South.
Hayden, just on the Southern League thing, when you think about the Southern League, is it a practical club decision that you are that was behind that, or is it almost a footballing decision from your point of view, Hayden, that the Isthmian League's a better league to be in?
I think it's both, Jay, to be fair. I think all of these decisions have to be weighted on both sides. I think all decisions of that nature have to be a result of discussions between myself and the football club. But I don't think the Southern League works in any way. personally. For one, I'm sure that, you know, I'm hearing the supporters are concerned about spending an extra half an hour going to Tooting, which is fine. I understand that. But also, you know, it's the same people that want to travel away from home. You know, do they really want to spend 2, 3, 4 hours traveling to the away games? I would suspect that they don't, when there's no need for that. And equally, you have to consider the players. You know, when Met Police, when Walton Casuals, for example, went over to the Southern League, it filled them with dread, with fear. The players don't want to do that. And whilst I would have done it for the club, I don't want to either, I'll be fair, but I would have done for the club. I honestly think we would be in danger of ripping up the entire squad because our players would have been cherry-picked by Isthmian League clubs that would have offered them more local football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I guess, Mark, is it a financial issue for the club as well, going to the Southern League with all those costs that come with that? Is that a factor?
Well, I've spoken to our friends at Met Police and at Harrow, and we provide the transport for Harrow, and they have huge increased costs as a result of not only the travel, but when they play home games and teams are coming from a long way away, they don't tend to travel with supporters. So, you know, we did not want to have the possibility that we could be bumped into the Southern League. It's as simple as that. No, it was not something we thought would be beneficial for Kingstonian.
And I guess once you make that decision, you then take, you know, Met Police and Walton off the table straight away. And then, you know, what once you've made that decision, what is the process? Are you able to say whether there are other clubs that we talked to or we're interested in? Or
we reached out to 2 or 3 clubs. 2 of them still haven't come back to us yet, based on our initial, because and that's disingenuous to them. Both clubs have issues going on regarding their own development, and they were in no position to be able to say yay or nay. And we felt, you know, the positive meetings we had with Tooting and Mitcham, the way they dealt with it. And it's, you know, and conversations with Dulwich Hamlet, who shared there for a while as well, suggests to us that we've made the right decision. And again, I need to emphasize, this is not, we hope, for a long period. We've got a year with a rollover into a second year should we need it, is where we are with the deal at the moment. And based on that, we think it's a decent fit for us. But the starting point for all of this was a conversation I had with the 2 guys I'm most heavily involved with the Casuals, who said, both of them said, look, Mark, it's going to be really, really difficult to get you another season at King George's. There are new elements of their committee now that really do not want Kingstonian in the sharing with them.
Mm-hmm. One of the current realities at Tooting is they have a tenant there already in Tooting Beck, and I guess, you know, there will be a couple of concerns from that. One, have we got 3 teams trying to share that pitch? Or secondly, are we going to end up kind of shafting another club and forcing them to be homeless? What's the situation there?
The situation there, as far as I'm aware, is that there were positive discussions between Tooting and Mitcham and Tooting Beck, and things were resolved amicably. We know that there will not be 3 or 4 teams playing on that main pitch. There's quite a lot of, you know, there's another 3G pitch at the back that's being improved, and some seating put in, and a covered walkway for player protection put in. Our understanding is that they're going to be using all the facilities they can at Tooting. So we're comfortable, and we, you know, having had it done to us, we know what that that feels like. So it is not our intention to upset or shaft another football club. We're not in that game.
Yeah, great. I'm hesitant to put you a little bit on the spot here, Mark, but when we had our year in Leatherhead, yourself went out of your way to kind of help Case fans with transport for that. Has there been any thought around whether we'd do something similar for Tooting?
Well, there is I think there are good enough facilities to be able to, good enough transport links for us not to need that. Mm-hmm. But we'd always look at something. I mean, I've got to say on a personal level, the last 2 years have been particularly difficult. And, if you're involved in transportation and transporting groups of people, the last 2 years have not been a blast. So, and very little government help, but don't get me started on that. So there are no plans to do that at the moment, but, I've been here for 16 years. My door, you can always come and talk to me, And
I guess, there's been a lot of talk on the forum about the role of the supporters club. And I guess almost that's something that for the supporters club, I guess, to take up and, with their resources as well to see what can be done there. Let's move on from Tooting at this point, which I guess is something hopefully we'll be able to say in the next couple of years. It's hinted at within the press release that this is a stepping stone to something bigger. Hayden, you mentioned yesterday that there may be some news to come at some point soon. Mark, we spoke a couple of months ago about the possibility of our kind of long-term home for Kingstonian. Where's that up to? And is there any kind of further update or that, or when could we expect to maybe hear some more?
Absolutely. We've had a further 2 or 3 meetings with council officers and local councillors, and the idea of us going to this new facility has been discussed with councillors in those wards, the wards around it, and the huge feedback has been very, very positive. So that's great. We are now at the point where we are putting a plan together along with Colin Lewington from Kingston Council, and that goes before their committee in February, mid-February is the next time they meet, so it's on for the next thing. And then hopefully, subject to planning, we will get a lease on the piece of land that we've identified. It's fair to say we've been revisited. I took Hayden down there, and he's had a march around the place, and it will be the making of this club.
And so I guess at some point, I don't know exactly what that process is, but presumably before it goes to council, it will be public what that proposal is. So that would be there for fans to see at some point in the next 2 months, for example.
I think people know me enough that I've got nothing to hide, but I can't tell you. Yeah. You bloody work it out yourself, I dare say, but I can't tell you where it is at the moment because I can't tell you where it is at the moment. But it's large, available, was a sports field. It just, I hate that phrase, ticks the boxes, but it does. It is everything that we need and we want to develop. We've now had contact with, and this is what's surprising, we've got involved with Martel Atterbury from Kingston Council, who's involved with sports and leisure and council officer. And Martel has already brought to us 2 football clubs and another sport which we can accommodate, all homeless or looking for alternatives. Also, there is a school nearby, and we've reached out to the school to see if we can help them as well. So what the plan has got to be is to create a hub for sport in this part, the part of Kingston we're talking about, that has precious few facilities currently. And that it is, I cannot tell you how exciting this could be.
Mm. It's obviously not the first plan that, you know, we've kind of developed or talked about over the past, you know, 5, 6, 7 years. Is this the one you have been most optimistic about at this point? And if so, what's behind that optimism? Because I think, you know, we're all past the point of blind faith in Kingstonian.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it is a fact about Kingstonian. And if we wanted to drive from London to Watford, Kingstonian wanted to drive from London to Watford, we'd have to go via Birmingham, because that is the nature of Kingstonian, you know. Whether, God knows, it's difficult. It always is, all things Kingstonian. But I'm very positive about this because it is us and the council and getting planning. There is no partner. In most of the other, in all the other instances, there has been a third party to make things more complicated than already were complicated. We're not really upsetting anybody in this. In fact, we're adding to the local community and to the sports facilities that are so desperately needed in the London Borough of Kingston. It's not costing Kingston anything. Hugely important in these days, and there is enough space there to be able to build a stadium and have the training facilities and everything else that we need on the same site. Yeah, we don't go over the top. We don't want to go over the top and build anything. It'll be, you know, it'll be what it'll be. But there is a facility there, and what you've got to understand is this, and we've got it so wrong in the past, in that our club is now playing some of the best football, thanks to Hayden and his squad, that I have seen at non-league level. It's an absolute delight to watch. On top of that, it's a system that we know we're gonna play, and we are gonna bring players through our systems and give them in this facility to be able to continue that journey, for want of a better phrase, to be able to play in the Kingstonian sort of way. Yeah. Now, whether we do that leisure, we do that for an elite academy, we will do the whole thing. But you will start to see, and we hope to, that will be sooner than you think, but we hope to see progression of players. One of the things that we've never been able to do is get people through our youth section and into the first team. And this now, everything will be there in order for that to be able to happen. This season has been an example, a bit like my buses, nothing and then 3 along at the same time. You know, and all 3 of them have been an absolute credit to this club that have hit the first team already. And that's what I see the future as. I see the future as us developing talent to play for Kingstonian in the Kingstonian way. Hayden, I think you would like to add to that, yeah?
Entirely. I couldn't agree more. Mark was kind enough with the directors to invite me to the site, and it absolutely blew me away. Honestly, the potential here is immense. My vision of Kingstonian is what we saw when we played Aldershot. We saw a glimpse to the future. And everything that Mark and the board are doing is working towards that. And I have to say, normally when you have such huge projects on the go, there's a short-term pain. But the beauty of moving to Tooting and Mitcham, I had a meeting with the people at Tooting yesterday. I don't think there'll even be any pain. I think it'll be a really smooth transitional period, and the move to Tooting will allow us to continue on the same path, interrupted, into a new stadium, which will be the envy of non-league football. I've no question of that.
I guess one question is, you know, we talk about this new, Hayden, you talk about being the envy of non-league football. We talk about, you know, it being a place for the youth sections and training pitches. These are obviously quite ambitious plans, and even if the land is kind of, you know, on a what I assume would be a cheap, if not peppercorn rent from the council, that all sounds like it's going to cost more than the money we were initially given by AFC Wimbledon. So how confident are we of being able to afford all of these plans, Mark? And where does some of that other funding perhaps look at coming from?
We're now at the initial stages of starting to look at grants, Football Foundation, other soccer-related opportunities. And, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So there might be some phases to this over time. But the miracle has been that Kingstonian, after 2002, has managed to keep going for 20 years. That has been the miracle. And when you don't have any second revenues, when you don't have any third revenues, when you don't get the profit from the bar or the catering facilities, all you've got is turnstile money plus a little bit of sponsorship that you can get, then, you know, it's down to the benevolence, the wrong word, down to the directors to make those shortfalls up. And there has been an annual shortfall. There has been an annual shortfall for 15 of the 16 years I've been involved, and we've had to make that shortfall up. What we've got to do, what we absolutely must do, is create the club that is sustainable. Because you see every year in non-league, Machiavellian characters arrive promising the world at different clubs. And you see the rise through the leagues based on funding, for want of a better phrase, from that Machiavellian owner, only for there to be a moment in time, a eureka moment, call it what you will, where that owner, normally after a poor performance and someone gives him a bit of a hard time as he walks through the bar, and he has that eureka moment and says, what on earth am I doing this for? He goes, the club goes back down, and it's left to those long-standing officers that have always carried on with their club to bring the thing back on the straight and narrow, for want of a better phrase. We don't want that. We want to grow and sustain our... So when we go, John, myself, Yorgos and Paul, when our time is up, it can be passed over seamlessly to somebody, knowing that it's a proper business model.
And I guess, Hayden, that's the ideal for a manager as well, right? That, you know, at some point you're not around and you're wanting to pass on something concrete in terms of the footballing side of the club that isn't just the first team, but is also a youth section where, you know, it feels more joined up.
I think that what Mark and the club are building, Kingstonian will become the heartbeat of the community. It will become a 7-day-a-week business. And as Mark says, it will grow naturally and become self-sufficient. And it definitely is the way. Like, I've been involved in football clubs where owners have bankrolled the team. They've shown big ambitions, and Mark is right. All of those clubs that do that, one day they wake up in the morning and they think, what on earth am I doing? And things can collapse around you. Remember Hornchurch years ago, I was at Bryco Windows, Mark, I think it was, and suddenly Hornchurch went from attracting players like Dimitri Karin to literally collapsing almost overnight. So the plan from the directors is hugely exciting. And it's really important that in this period of transition, not on the pitch where football managers always talk about transition, but off the pitch whilst this is being built. Yes, we're moving out of the borough. I know Mark and the directors really wanted to avoid that at all costs, but they simply can't. So we've come up with the next best alternative. And I would plead with the supporters to look at the bigger picture. Mark's give you an insight to the bigger picture today. It is the making of Kingstonian. And in between times, we've all got to do what we do best since I've been here. And that's pull together as a club to make sure that when this stadium is built, we are strong, we're together, and we're not in the Isthmian League. Everybody's got to play a part in that. Everybody. Myself, the team, the supporters, the tremendous volunteers, we've all got to get behind Mark and the board to achieve the aim that everybody's wanted to achieve since the day Kingstonian left Kingsmeadow.
And Jamie, I get it, mate. I am holding our supporters by the hand again and saying, jump off this cliff, it'll be fine. And you have done it. How many times have we done it in the last 10 or 15, 20 years? Since 2002, really. Since they went into receivership after winning the trophy twice. And I understand wholeheartedly the reticence. And I understand wholeheartedly the feeling, oh, not again. Why am I? This is another nail in the coffin. But listen, if I've seen one tweet recently that really, I don't know quite what to make of it. But I think I'll be back in Tamor Lay and not Gary Eakins in the bet. You've seen it on. I think I'll tell Tamor to start spending that money. Get any money from Gary Eakins is interested.
You both mentioned the role of the fans there. There's been a bit of talk about whether something like a fans forum or an evening for people to get together and ask questions would be helpful at this stage. Is that something that you're planning? Is that something that would be best done at this stage, or maybe after more stuff's announced? What's the kind of thinking around that at the moment?
Love to get together. Really would enjoy that opportunity. We can set it up fairly easily. Local pub or something in Kingston. I'm sure we can do it. Let's just get New Year out the way and any possible more measures from this government to in relation to possible COVID-related matters out the way, and then we'll do something. Perhaps February, after the planning at Kingston Council has had its meeting, might be the time to do that. If we look at doing a date in February, but I get the fans' anxiety, and I am asking you for another leap of faith and trust, I guess. But please understand, this. Despite being through a torrid 18 months personally, and all of us have had other issues, and Hannah's lost her mum, my father's been in hospital for 12 weeks. When this football club gets into your blood, you can't shake it off. And the four of us on the board, the four directors, plus a whole host of people we call friends, all the volunteers and helpers that we have, are absolutely steadfast in our resolve to make this football club a success.
And Mark, I guess even in the midst of asking tough questions or what people are saying online, I hope that you and the rest of the directors know that you have the gratitude and support of the Kingstonian fans, and we don't take for granted that graft and that passion that you've got for it. I guess the tricky thing is part of your role is also taking on some of that criticism.
You have to in life, the thing about running a non-league football club like us is that you get 20 different opinions about, where should we site the T-bar? I mean, you will get 20 different opinions, and that's life. That's part and parcel, because people see their football club as equally as much as their property as it is anyone else's, the people that actually physically own it. And I accept all of that. But again, the beauty now is, and again, I touch on it, with Hayden in his role, with the situation, the way we have it now, bringing these young players through. I knew on the trip to the stadium against Aldershot, I knew what the starting lineup would be. We do not have a revolving door now. And those players, and there are some incredible, decent young men playing for this club at this time, thoroughly decent individuals. And they're part of this family now. We've got it wrong in the past where we continue to have a revolving door. Of course, there will be the odd change, and we wish Jevon all the best at Lewis, apart from Monday when we play them. But, the reality is that we are going to make the odd change. But, we need now to get the family Kingstonian, whether that be supporters, whether that be board members, whether that be the management and the fans and the players, all together and on the same page. And we are doing it. We are doing it. So I think the future is positive. I really, really do. There will be battles. Of course, there will be battles. Anything that involves planning is a battle. But we are hopeful, very hopeful, that we can move forward with this latest location and this latest project with optimism going into 2022.
Great. That sounds really positive. I guess one question linked to that a couple of people have mentioned is the timing of this Tooting announcement. Was there some pressure on needing to do that, or could we have? I guess people maybe would have reacted better to the Tooting announcement if it came with more positive news around a future in the borough. Was there any thought of holding that off, or was it, Tooting were keen to get this announced at this stage now?
Tooting were pretty keen to announce it. Okay. We want to give as much lead time as possible, get people to get used to it. And to be fair, the nature of our relationship with our current landlord is such that we wanted to make it after the El Tol Worthico for obvious reasons, but then the El Tol Worthico got called off, didn't it? So, such as it is. I mean, I'm hugely fond of a few of the people, I'm very fond of the manager. I think he's excellent at the casuals, and I'm very fond of a few of the people that I've been dealing with regularly in relation to our tenancy there. But I think all of us are looking forward to a new chapter.
Indeed, and we start a new chapter in a new year tomorrow, Hayden. 3 points at Leatherhead to kick off the year.
Let's hope so. We can't have Mickey Sullivan beating us, can we?
Well, exactly. He'll be interviewing himself after the game if they win.
Well, Mick's had a couple of interviews, actually. He's been the other side of the camera, I've noticed. No, seriously, Leatherhead, great club, team that shouldn't be bottom of the league. Some things fit, and Mick fits with Leatherhead. There's no question about that. I think he'd do a great job. And, as a friend of the club, which I know he considers himself to be, I know we all wish him well, albeit, understandably, not tomorrow.
Indeed. Well, we'll see you both then. Thanks both for your time this morning. Always appreciate the update and keeping fans up with what's going on. So, Happy New Year. 3 points tomorrow.
Thank you. Happy New Year.